And for the next session, that is the CFO Playbook, Managing Cross-Functional Responsibilities. To do this, I would request Mr. Vikas Jalan, CFO PayNearby. With a career spanning over 2 decades across multiple geographies, Vikas is the CFO at PayNearby. A tech-savvy individual, he has robust experience in process and system orientation and formulating, implementing financial initiatives to achieve business goals. Vikas is highly skilled in profitability improvement, cash flow, treasury, partnership management, and risk management. Along with this, his various core functional competencies include financial planning and analysis, operational finance, business process re-engineering, post-merger integration, and due diligence, among others. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Good afternoon. So we've had almost the entire day of discussion, and you may find some of the content repetitive, but I will try to see that the content is limited and we spend more time in questions. And yeah, is that okay with everyone? Okay. So as we know that the theme of session is CFO Playbook, right? And the role of CFO today is multifold. We are all known by different names, and someone calls, I think the most common name is Chief Financial Officer, but can I invite the room, what are the other names that CFOs are usually called? Can I invite people here? Anyone? Chief Future Officer, yeah. What else? Chief Fun Officer, that's, I think I also read that, but I don't know if CFOs are that fun. What else? Something which is very common today in startup world. Business partner. Yeah. Chief? Yes, this is very common in today's, especially in the context of startups. So Chief Funding Officer. Somewhere I also heard that CFOs are Chief Everything Officer, or in Indian context it is CFO to Chaprasi, right? And many times when companies are small, we will find that CFOs do everything, and as companies evolve, they hire people, they create functions, and they start doing more strategic stuff, okay? So today, what I intend to do is try to walk you through the journey of the CFO, and many of you are fellow CFOs or aspiring to be CFOs. The other roles which I have usually seen for CFOs is sometimes these are people who can also be called a devil or a Mr. No. Sometimes these are also called value providers or chief value officers. So there are different contexts that CFOs can be called, and that is why I have put multiple hats, and it depends in the organization to organization. Some organization need M&A capabilities, some need IPO capabilities, some need digital transformation. So depending on the roles of the organization, the CFO plays that hat. And that is why the playbook for each CFO is different in the context of the organization that we are dealing with. I would also admit that this presentation has been curated with the help of artificial intelligence. So I would encourage everyone to appreciate it and use it if you've not done it, okay? What I think a lot has been talked about. What I intend to focus right now is basically three elements. What is the role of CFO from a strategic perspective, okay? Of course, the transforming finance, and the most important role which is coming today is how are we contributing to the growth. Here I will also spend some time about the actionable insights, some of these conversations we had earlier in the day, okay? So with that said, let me get to the agenda. So from a strategic perspective, if we see that many of the conventional methods have lost its way, and here again I would like to invite some participation from everyone. What are those conventional methods that you've come across which are not relevant today? And just to get started, I would take the lead in one example, which is the budgeting process. I think earlier in the day, my fellow Rahul talked about it. Today, budgets are not that relevant. What is more relevant today? Anyone? Rolling forecasts. What else? But the board usually does ask for the budget, so we have to prepare budgets. But rolling forecast is very important. What else is coming up in today's world? Scenario planning, I think we did talk about during the conversations. OKRs, I'm sure many of you heard about OKRs. So there is agile OKRs which have come up in today's world. There are other conventional methods, and one of the most prevalent talked about conventional methods that we discussed today was using data-based or data-backed decision making. What is the conventional method which was used earlier was using gut feeling, using experience, but that has now been replaced with data-backed decision making. Okay. One more example, or maybe a few more examples we could discuss here. There used to be siloed organization structure. In today's context, what is the kind of organization structure that we are seeing? Anyone would like to attempt? We're looking at more cross-functional organization, distributed decision making. Are we all seeing that in our organizations? One more example of conventional ways of working. Command and control leadership, is it very relevant today? Would Gen Z accept that kind of leadership? Work from home, is it prevalent? I know that many organizations still would like to have work from home. This is a session after lunch, so I'm just trying to involve all of you. Otherwise, it will be again another boring session. So I would appreciate some participation. So what is the prevalent method of working in today's world? Hybrid, right? You all appreciate that? I think some of you might be working from home today to attend the session. So it's working, right? Because you can anyway go and complete your work when you go back. So I think what is important in the context of strategic leadership is to appreciate that those conventional methods of leadership is no more relevant. We are in an environment where there is a lot of uncertainty, there is a lot of volatility, and enough has been talked about, so I won't get into it. On top of it, there are lots of governance risks, and we know a lot of examples, especially in the startup world, but even in non-startup world, there are a lot of governance lapses. I think yesterday only there was some example of KRBL, one of the listed companies, one of the independent directors resigned. So all this makes the life of CFO very, very difficult. You are holidaying and you realize that there is a cyber issue, and what do? You come back from holiday, or you figure out what to do about it. So I think the important point here is to recognize that the role has evolved, and in this context, the actions that CFO needs to take is very, very different. Okay? I would like to pause if there are any questions at this stage. Good. Okay, if you don't have a question, I want to just spend a minute about this photo that you see in this presentation. Can anyone tell me where is the CFO in this photo? Take a guess, it's okay. We're all learning together, and there's no right or wrong answer. Black one, okay. Any other guesses? Very good, very good, very good. So I think the answer, I think all of these are correct answers. But since the focus of my presentation is cross-functional playbook for CFO, at least my answer was CFO is sitting in one of those 4 red ones. Because CFO is collaborating with the business, helping in decision making, okay? And the CEO is watching in the back. He's the guy. See, the HR function also has changed a lot, so I did not talk about it because there is a lot of conventional HR. That function is totally getting transformed, okay? There is no more the normal HR. There is something called a business HR, which is also aligned with the business. So I think I would encourage that all of you should look at this picture and try to be inside those 4 symbols, because that is what is cross-functional leadership is. It's not about providing the data and then sitting in the fence. It's about discussing that data, and it's about making an impact by talking with that data. And many times we will find that the data which was given by CFO was not relevant. We see it a number of times when we interact with business that some of the data that CFO was providing is actually different from what the business was looking into it. That is why this cross-functional integration is extremely important, because then CFO understands what data business wants and can work towards it. Yeah? Moving on, this is one of my favorite topics, so I'm going to spend a little more time here. I'm sure everyone would have heard about this quote, and we all have been talking about this since morning, that we need to use data-backed decision making, okay? But how relevant is it, data-backed decision making? Is it enough to have a data-backed decision making? In my current organization, when I joined about 4 years back, we used to have 100 reports, and nobody was looking at it. So we cut down 50 reports, nobody said anything. Most recently, the sales report were getting sent to 100 people, we cut down 50 people, nobody complained. This is not true for my organization. This is also true for many of our organizations, okay? So is this data enough, or we need something else? Do we know what is a good data, what is a bad data? Do we know what is a good profit, what is a bad profit? Do we know how to distill the profit, and do we know how to distill the revenue? Do we know this revenue is going to be repeatable next quarter or not repeatable next quarter? Would we just decide based on data, or would we also use our experience? Sometimes numbers don't tell you stories, is that correct? Have you experienced that? And that is why I think some of us CFOs, my friend just before this session talked about the CFOs are much needed, okay? So we need a storyteller who can explain the story behind numbers, okay? Otherwise, numbers, so there are so many of numbers, sometimes it's very difficult to understand, even for CFOs. But how to distill those numbers, how to tell the story, how to create that actionable impact, that matters, okay? So how I see this world of CFOs is, how do we create an intelligence hub using data and some of the stuff you've talked about since morning, instead of reporting, because that's already past, how do we get to predicting, decision support, and help create a data-driven culture? Data does not take decisions, but data guides you with the decision making. And if we do that, then we have impacted, or we have played an important role in driving and strategic decision for the companies that we are working on. And it is this data, friends, that you will realize that has led to many of the newer companies which are today existing in the marketplace. And we are all beneficiaries as a customer. To name a few, the Zomatos of the world, the Zeptos of the world, very recently the Opus Paint, which came and challenged Asian Paints. Somebody looked at the data, somebody looked at the market, somebody looked at the opportunity, somebody decided to allocate the capital to that opportunity, and somebody executed that opportunity. It is as simple as that. So, again, I'm seeing very silence everywhere. Is there anybody would like to say anything or questions? I know a lot of content is getting repeated, so I won't spend a lot of time. I want to actually use a story, but before I get to the story, I think this is just as important. The CFO role today, as I discussed in the beginning, is to help craft growth story for the CEO, okay? This story can be either organic, inorganic through M&As, or introducing newer products. And this also requires us to look at the time-tested ways, which are, obviously we look at the ROI and everything else. But sometimes the decision is beyond ROI. Sometimes decision is based on the gut feeling, based on what competition is doing. So how do we combine the science and the art in decision making is extremely important, is what I would say. And how do we facilitate the CEO is important in this case. To conclude on my discussion, I'm going to just take a brief story. I hope we have 5 minutes. I'm sure many of you would have watched this Netflix series, Mad Unicorn. If you have not, I would encourage. This is on Netflix, about 6 to 7 episodes. And before I talk about this series, I would talk about our company. I am CFO of PayNearby. We provide financial services to everyone, everywhere. We do almost 250 million transactions every year. We have a throughput of almost 1 lakh crore on an annual basis, providing financial services in rural areas. Okay, this is our 10th year, and the story is a little bit similar, so that's why I said let me pick this story. And this is a story of a guy by the name Shanti, who is Thai-based, and he went to a courier company in Thailand to send a box of biscuits to his mother. And when he went there, the courier company said he has to pay 60 Thai baht. Okay? And when he checked his pocket, he realized that he had only 30 Thai bahts. So what did he do? He took out 10 biscuits out of 12 biscuits, reduced the weight, and sent those biscuits. But that experience of him led him to start a startup, launch a startup in logistics. At the starting price was 30 Thai baht. And today, this company, this is based on a real story, this company has operations across the globe, okay? And this photo is of a CEO and a CFO. The lady is Xiao, the CFO from China, and they work together to get this startup up and running, and despite a lot of challenges, I think I don't have time, right? Okay. I think some of the important points I would just maybe talk about here is that this is a very interesting story. You must see it. But what comes top of my mind is that the CFO kept reminding the CEO that at the end, unit economics matters a lot. Because when they were doing pricing decisions, they realized that there was a point when their unit economics did not justify the pricing. So even if it's a tough conversation, I would encourage CFOs to have those tough conversations, because if you don't have that tough conversation, then you would miss that opportunity. Because that one tough conversation can actually lead to losses, and especially in the context of startup losses, one of the main reasons of startups closing down in today's world is they run out of cash. And why do they run out of cash? Is because they have poor unit economics. Okay. Again, some of the other learnings in this case study is there was no real big business plan. The business was started with ambiguity. They learned, they reiterated, they improved, they executed best, they used relationships. So as CFOs, our role is not just sitting in the fence. We have to use relationships. We have to go inside the market. We have to tell stories, not only to internal stakeholders, our team, external stakeholders, to the regulators, based on data, of course. So we need to keep on doing that. Any questions? Anybody would like to reflect if they've seen this mad unicorn? Any learnings from anyone? Sorry, come again? So in most of the cases, it's about how the CFO is able to carry himself or herself. If CFO has created a good impact, and whatever CFO has helped the company in the past, then people do listen to the CFO. Or if the CFO do not get the chance, then the CEO listens to CFO, who is the communicator for the organization. In many of the cases, for every important briefing, the CEO and CFO has a small talk, and that's when the CEO does the communication. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Just in the interest of time and just to conclude, these were some of the key points, and I don't want to miss out on one last point which is highlighted is, given we play a lot of hats, it's also important that we take care of the work-life balance, not only for ourselves, but our teams and all the stakeholders. Ideally, I would also request the organizers that whenever we have vendors and participants, we have the service providers and some other healthcare providers also participate in these sessions, because that will benefit a lot to this group. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would request you to please stay back on the stage. And to do the honors, I would like to call Mr. Naveen, CFO from Sugar Cosmetics. Thank you so much.